Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Tonight we are finishing up the last few chapters of our book, so we'll get to see what happens with Scout and everybody, so stay tuned. So we left off with chapter 10, and chapter 10 is called Operation Eddie. Howie didn't wait for his friends. Instead, he marched back down the sidewalk. Eddie, Melody, and Liza had to hurry up to catch him. Wait a minute, Melody said. You're going the wrong way. Liza grabbed Howie's arm. We don't want to go back. Scout will get Eddie. Howie shook his head. We have to go back, he said, before it's too late. It's already too late, Eddie said. Your doodle gum shakes have melted to nothing but milk. Have melted to nothing but milk mush by now. I'm not talking about milkshakes, Howie said. I'm talking about saving Bailey City. What can we do? Liza asked. Scout is a powerful gavel. If what you think is true, Melody added, then we should be running the other way. There's nothing four normal kids can do to scare away a vampire spy. You're right, Howie said. We are? Liza said in a squeaky voice. Howie nodded. Absolutely. That's why the situation calls for Operation Eddie. It was a well-known fact that Howie wanted to be a doctor when he grew up, and Eddie was sure that Howie was ready to start practicing on him. Eddie took a giant step back. I don't care if you were the smartest kid in Bailey City, Eddie yelled. I'm not going to let you cut me open. I'm not going to lay a finger on you, Howie said. In fact, I'm not going to do anything. You're not making any sense, Melody complained. First you say you're ready to battle a gavel, then you act like you're going to sit down and pick dandelions. What's it going to be? Both, Howie said. First I'm going to help Eddie battle the gavel, and then I'm going to sit and watch. Now wait a minute, Eddie argued. I don't even believe in all this gavel stuff. Why should I have to do the dirty work? Because, Howie explained, you came up with the idea. Eddie stood tall and stuck out his chest. I am smart, he admitted. Then tell us your idea, Liza begged. Eddie slumped down as if he were a balloon that had just popped. I'm not exactly sure, he said. Melody laughed. Eddie is about as smart as a turnip, she said. Eddie is smart, Howie said. A smart aleck. Eddie curled his fingers into a fist. Hey, wait a minute, he said. You shouldn't be calling me names. Howie held up his hand. Don't go getting your shoelaces tied in knots. I'm glad you're funny. You are? Liza asked. Howie nodded. Thanks to Eddie, he said, we're going to save Bailey City. Chapter 11, Gloom and Doom. Will you please tell me what you're talking about? Eddie shouted. Shh, Liza said, looking at the cemetery. Someone will hear you. Eddie rolled his eyes. I could yell all day and still not bother anyone in the cemetery. Liza giggled. I know, but it doesn't seem right to yell surrounded by graves. If you ask me, it's not right to tease your friends, Eddie said to Howie. Exactly how am I supposed to save Bailey City? Melody and Liza put their hands on their hips and looked at Howie. Yeah, Melody said. What do you have in mind? Howie peeked over his shoulder to make sure nobody else was around. All he saw were stones and grave markers and a few birds pecking at the grass. Gavels like gloom and doom, Howie told his friends. They don't like laughter and they definitely don't like anything funny. You mean like Eddie? Melody asked. Exactly, Howie said. Maybe that's why she tried to grab him, Liza said. She tried to grab him because he knew about Ruby Cave, Howie said. I don't think she'll leave him alone until she knows all about the cave so her family can move here. I don't want some strange ice cream girl bothering me, Eddie said with a frown. Then listen to me, Howie said, and all of our problems will be solved. Howie whispered his plan to his friends. Eddie shook his head several times and said, It will never work. Howie pointed to Eddie. It has to work. Now let's get ready. We'll meet back at the Burger Doodle in exactly 30 minutes. Hurry. The kids rushed home to get their supplies. In exactly 30 minutes, Liza, Melody, and Howie stood beside Burger Doodle. Each one was wearing a strange outfit. Melody had a huge red nose and orange shoes. She also wore her dad's big shirt. An enormous orange tie hung around Liza's neck, and she wore a straw hat that had rubber chickens sitting on top. She also carried a plastic chicken that didn't have any feathers. Howie had his clothes on inside out, and he wore black plastic glasses with a funny nose and a mustache attached. "Where's Eddie?" Melody asked. "He better hurry," Liza said. "We can't do this without him." Howie nodded toward the door. "I think we're going to have to," he said as Scout pulled open the restaurant door. Scout didn't smile when the kids walked in. "Come in," she said in her flat, deep voice. "Would you like another shake?" Melody gulped and took a deep breath and started singing, "Shake, shake, shake, shake it and bake it, shake, 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 but baby don't break it." Howie and Liza danced inside the building with Melody. They sang and danced around the inside of the restaurant. Scout stared at them, but she never cracked a smile. "It's not working," Lisa moaned. "Try harder," Melody said. "Shake, shake, shake, shake it and bake it." The kids danced around like floppy dolls, and Liza whooped with Howie with her dead chicken. Still, Scout didn't smile, but she did get closer. Closer and closer she came. Finally, she grabbed Howie's arm. "Oh no," Liza cried. "We're dead." Chapter 12. Super Eddie. The door flew open and in jumped Eddie. "It's Super Eddie," he screamed. Howie, Scout, Liza, and Melody stared at Eddie. He was naked. Well, almost naked. He had only one pair of red polka dot swim trunks and a red towel pinned around his neck. On his chest, he had a red S drawn on with lipstick. He had outlined his lips with red lipstick and had blue eyeshadow all over his eyes. Liza giggled and Melody cracked up. "Eddie," Howie said with a laugh, "you look ridiculous." Eddie nodded, showing off the pink flower he had stuck on the top of his head. "Wasn't that the idea?" Eddie asked. "Only it's not working," Liza said. Eddie didn't pay attention to Liza. He jumped on top of the nearest table and did a little dance in his big house slippers and then pointed at Scout. "Have you heard the joke about the zombie's grave?" Eddie asked. Scout slowly shook her head. "Oh, never mind," Eddie said. "You wouldn't dig it anyways." Liza giggled, but Scout only stared. Eddie tried again. "What is red, creepy, and has a red nose?" Eddie asked. Scout shrugged. Eddie jumped off the table in front of Scout. "Rudolph the Red-Nosed Zombie!" Eddie shouted. "What's a ghost's favorite ice cream flavor?" Eddie asked, dancing around behind the ice cream counter. Scout followed Eddie and shrugged her shoulders. Eddie smiled before shouting, "Boo, Berry!" "And now it's time we all had some." Eddie grabbed the chocolate syrup and held it over his head. Unfortunately, the ladle slipped and the chocolate syrup dumped on his head. Before Scout could move, Eddie had the whipped cream hose. Eddie pushed the wrong button and the hose squirted. He fired the whipped cream like a bazooka. Whoosh, whoosh. Liza got creamed, Melody got creamed, Howie got creamed. They all screamed and laughed. Finally, Eddie turned the hose on Scout and creamed her. Whoosh. Cream splattered from her head to her toes. "How about some syrup?" Eddie asked before dumping red syrup on Scout's head. Scout wiped her face and stared at Eddie. He had chocolate dripping down his head onto his bare chest and whipped cream on his face like a weird mustache. The corner of Scout's mouth twitched and then turned up, and then she giggled along with Liza, Melody, and Howie. "What's long, orange, and wears diapers?" Eddie asked. Everyone was giggling, so Eddie answered himself. "A baby carrot," he yelled before filling his mouth up with whipped cream. Then he used his hands to slap his cheeks. Whipped cream squirted everywhere just as the outside door opened. Mrs. Jeepers walked inside in time to get her face splattered with whipped cream. When Scout took one look at Mrs. Jeepers, Scout doubled over and laughed. The next day, the kids peeked inside Burger Doodle. A teenager with pimples on his face busily wiped the counter. "I thought Mrs. Jeepers would kill you yesterday," Liza whispered to Ellie. "I didn't mean to squirt her. I guess I got a little carried away," Eddie said. "It was an accident." "You got a lot carried away," Liza told Eddie. "I thought we would never get all this mess cleaned up." "At least everything turned out all right," Melody said. "It's a good thing Mrs. Jeepers liked whipped cream." Lisa nodded. Howie's plan worked, thanks to Eddie's silliness. "I knew it would work," Howie said. "Laughter is the best medicine when it comes to curing a gabble." Melody put her hands on her hips. "How did you know it would work?" she asked. Howie grinned. "Do you not know how to get rid of a blue monster?" he asked. His three friends shrugged. Howie laughed. "You cheer it up." So that concludes our book. Thanks to everybody for tuning in for the last 4 nights to listen to this book. I plan on starting another book soon, so everybody stay tuned for the next book. Have a good night.